Hello and welcome to Auto Shenanigans. How the devil are you? Have you had a good week? My name is John. Thank you very much for joining me for another exciting Great British Road Journey. This week I've come to West Sussex and straight away we've got a bit of a problem. As you'll no doubt be aware, in this series we're using my 1923 Michelin guidebook to assist us with our journeys, but the West Sussex we know today, back then, didn't exist. Instead there was just one large county known as Sussex, so as far as my guidebook is concerned, West Sussex isn't a thing. But who can be bothered to overcomplicate things? Definitely not me. So today we'll be exploring the county of West Sussex that we're all familiar with. So where are we off to today? Today we're taking a journey from East Grinstead to the seaside town of Worthing, with stops along the way to look at many things. As always, to help navigate our way around, we'll be using my 1923 Michelin guidebook as best we can, period correct maps, and what's the deal with East Grinstead? Not a lot really. My guidebook tells me that back in the day, East Grinstead was a fairly small town with around 7,000 residents, most of which just lived in the town. It doesn't appear that East Grinstead has done anything productive in any way over the years. My guidebook suggests that maybe we'd like to take a look at old timbered houses, which is interesting because there's loads of them. The majority of the high street consists of timber-framed Tudor and medieval buildings, and it's said to be the longest continuous run of 14th century buildings in England. Here's the thing, in the old days, East Grinstead had a railway running through it. It still does, but there was another one that ran from Three Bridges in Crawley to Tunbridge Wells, stopping at East Grinstead on the way. The railway was deleted as part of the infamous Beeching cuts, but the funny thing is, Dr. Beeching lived in East Grinstead, but the more funny thing is, part of the A22 was built over the railway he deleted, and they named it Beeching Way. Beeching attempted to delete other parts of East Grinstead's railway network as well. The line from East Grinstead down to Lewes was supposed to be removed, but in 1960 a preservation society managed to get hold of it and save it. Known as the Bluebell Railway, they've got over 11 miles of track, a whole host of steam locomotives, but one of the things they've also got is this, the Imberhorn Viaduct. It opened in 1882 and then would close in 1958. It wouldn't be until the late 2000s that the Bluebell Railway Society would restore and relay the tracks, allowing for trains to run across it once more. However, it turns out this viaduct hasn't just been used for trains. Take a look at this. Yeah, it's a smart 4x4 driving across the viaduct. I'm not really sure why. It was part of an advert or a publicity stunt, and it's interesting because it's all real. There's no trickery involved. To pull it off, the smart car had to be massively strengthened underneath, and this is because the railway suitable wheels weighed 80 kilograms each and had a diameter of 22 inches, slightly larger than the car's standard 15s. The car's conversion from car to locomotive wasn't carried out by Mercedes, who own the Smart brand, but by a company called Interfleet, a Derby-based locomotive engineering company. Well, what do you know about that? They're quite hateful, those smart cars, aren't they? Anyway, we're leaving East Grinstead, and there's not really a direct or easy route for us to take. It's just a mission around the back roads. In this case, starting with the B2110 and then the B2028, where we're going to make a quick stop because something has piqued my curiosity. And I'm not sure what to expect. Known as Cave Adullam, I spotted it on Google Maps and thought, let's go in search of this mysterious cave and see what's what. Let's go. It's this way. Well, this is it, I think. It's not much of a cave, more of an overhanging of some large rocks. That said, if you look closely, there are carvings of people's initials all over, some of which are believed to date back to the 17th century. This whole area is littered with interesting rock formations, mainly because the rocks are sandstone and things like rain and surface water have slowly shaped and sculpted them, resulting in what appear to be very unnatural rock formations. Our next stop is the town of Haywards Heath. In the days of my guidebook, a small town, and much like East Grinstead, it's not obvious as to what people did all day long. There doesn't appear to have been much productivity over the years. My guidebook provides a handy map of Haywards Heath, on which I notice what it refers to as asylum. This is the asylum, today a collection of luxury flats, but when it opened in 1859, known as the Sussex County Lunatic Asylum, it was home to 400 people, and at the time of its completion, it was said to be the longest building in Sussex. It closed in 1995 to be redeveloped into housing, but as you can see, they did a pretty good job of retaining as much of the original structure as possible. If you have a look around the site, you might find this abandoned building, which has somehow managed to escape redevelopment. Maybe no one wants to go inside because this building was originally an isolation hospital. If you had a horrible infectious disease, you'd get chucked in here away from everyone and probably just left to die. Late 1800s hospitals were not the nicest of places. It's probably just as well the hospital closed then. Moving on to our next destination will see us head down Rocky Lane, but according to our old maps, well, two things actually. First, it used to be called Rookery Lane, and second, the road has been rerouted. It used to follow this route, but with a load of houses being built, the road was slightly upgraded and realigned. What's interesting though is that the road's realignment didn't happen until 2014, which means we can see the old road on aerial photos quite clearly. It seems to me that with the anticipated rise in traffic levels, the road and bridge wasn't really wide enough and deemed unsuitable, hence its replacement. Today the old road is used as a footpath, but the original bridge that carried the road over the railway is still in situ, and I love me an old road bridge. Next up, the town of Burgess Hill. According to my guidebook, there's nothing here. Righto, so what we'll do instead then is take a trip to a place called Upper Beeding, which no one has heard of, but there is something rather large and exciting for us to look at. This is Shoreham Cement Works, aka Beeding Chalk Pit, or it was. It's now a complex of abandoned industrial buildings. It all began as Beeding Chalk Pit in the early 1800s before they moved into cement production in the late 1870s, and within a handful of years the site was producing 144 tonnes of cement every week. Demand for cement increased dramatically after the second small disagreement of 1939 to 1945. I imagine it's because they had to build new... Oh, f***ing hell, hello. All right?
Yeah, can I help?
No, I don't think so.
Wait, can I help you what you're doing?
Just filming, just for YouTube stuff.
Yeah, well, this is private property. I know this is all private property here.
Demand for cement increased dramatically after the second small disagreement of 1939 to 1945. I imagine because new towns like Stevenage had to be built, and this resulted in the cement works being completely rebuilt to scale up the operations accordingly. At its peak, it went from producing 144 tonnes of cement every week to 550 tonnes of cement every day, and it was all going fine until the early 1990s. By this time, the site was considered outdated and newer sites were proving to be more profitable, so it had to go. There were also some concerns over cement dust in the environment, but don't worry about that. Future plans for the cement works involve its removal, and in its place will be over 2,000 houses, all built as part of an eco-village. Although maybe not, because these plans were announced in 2016 and it doesn't look like there's much eco-village construction going on. A quick drive along the A27 brings us into the town of Worthing. In the days of my guidebook, a very busy town with over 35,000 residents, owing mostly to the agricultural and fishing industries. Yet despite its large size, my guidebook doesn't make any suggestions on things to see or do, so I guess it's down to me to find the entertainment. With that in mind, here's a car park. Isn't it delightful? It's a brutalist structure, and this is just an excuse for me to plug an earlier video that I did on this very car park. Of course, Worthing is a seaside town, and this means there are three things that we need to do. Visit the pier, get fish and chips, and lose all of our money in the coin-operated amusement arcade. Luckily for us, Worthing Pier offers all of these things in one handy place, exactly as it should be, although tragically a fish and chips on the pier will set you back £17, so we won't be doing that. The pier itself first opened in 1862, and as per pretty much every other pier, it was damaged in a storm, and then there was a fire leading to most of it being rebuilt. During the second small disagreement, it was feared that the enemy forces might use Worthing Pier as a way of landing on the beaches of Worthing, so the military blasted a massive hole in the structure, making it completely useless. That'll show them. It was then rebuilt afterwards when no one invaded. Our final destination for the day brings us to the north of Worthing and one of the highest points in West Sussex. I'm at a place called Sisbury Ring. No, that's not some sort of rectum disease. It's the second largest Iron Age hill fort in the country that dates back to the year 250 BC. Interestingly though, within the hill fort site lies one of the first flint mines. It's said that over 250 shafts were dug into Sisbury Hill, some 12 metres deep and 7 metres wide, which is quite impressive when you consider it would have all been dug out by hand. There wasn't any flint for tools, I presume that's why they were digging it out. And there we are then guys, that's all we've got time for this week. Thanks very much for watching, I hope you liked the video. If you did, there is of course a button specifically for that, and if you haven't subscribed already, please consider doing so. That'll be wicked sweet awesome. Enjoy the rest of your week, whatever it is you get up to. My name's John, you've been watching Auto Shenanigans, and I'll see you guys next time for another exciting Great British Road Journey. Until then, take care, bye-bye.
I'll get the police involved, that's fine.
Oh, for f***ing sake. Okay, mate.